Welcome to the Coach Harp Show. Today we have Shenan Charania. Welcome to the Coach Harp Show, Shenan.
Thank you very much for having me, Hart.
Let the audience know what you do and why you do some things.
Sure. So I work as a transformative coach and a consultant, and I've been doing that for the last 7 years now. And why I do it? Well, I really enjoy it. I find this work to be the most creative, most fulfilling, most challenging in so many ways. It keeps me on my edge and makes me feel alive.
Thank you for sharing that with the audience there. One thing I wanted to know is what attracted you to choose the path you did as a teenager?
Well, as a teenager, I was very lost. At 11 years of age, I immigrated, I should say, to Vancouver, BC with my family from Kenya. And I faced a lot of bullying, a lot of racism, and I didn't know how to react to it. So I eventually, after getting so fed up, I started fighting back and getting into many fights. And this led me to kind of hang out with the wrong crowd and be in the wrong kind of circle, which led to more drugs and alcohol and gang-related life. So that's what made me choose it, is the way I could not handle myself or interpret events in a healthy way and was very reactive to the aggression inside of me.
Thank you for sharing that. That actually puts a lot of insight of why you chose that path. Dan, thank you for sharing that on how you chose the path. How did you turn a negative into a positive in your life?
I think for me, it really comes down to a change in mind. Um, I used to look at turning negatives into positives in a way where I want to be inspired and influenced and reprogram myself, and that works to a degree. But I found that there's an easier way. If I can get more quiet in my head, then I would able to see where my dysfunctional behavior is coming from. And automatically, my common sense would become higher quality. And so nowadays, if there's a negative that would be turned into positive, or even if I look back to how I changed from a gang-related world to a business world and being this unkind person to a kind person, it always came down to how I was perceiving life, how I understood life. When I was in a negative state and my life was negative, reflecting my negative mind. In reflection, I could always see that this negativity that's coming out of me was because I had a very poor outlook on life. I have everyone's after me and I have to look out for myself only and such. And that changed to a positive one when I started to see the nature of perception, the nature of my mind and how it's forming and projecting and such. So I think that's the root cause.
Thank you for sharing that. Shanad, I noticed you mentioned something about calming yourself. How did you learn how to do this? And what are some of the tools that you use to make yourself calm?
Yeah, that's a great question. I put a really high value on a calm mind. I think that is a major uh, resource that a lot of us are not putting too much value into. It's very underrated, you know? And I think that's where all the high quality thinking, the high quality insights, the high quality inspiration comes from. It's sourced from a calm mind. What I do to get myself calm is I don't take my thinking very seriously. Whereas before I used to try, I would find myself trapped in my thinking, and then I would try and calm myself from external sources. So I would meditate, I would work out, I would go for walks, I would listen to music, and all of those worked very well. But I started to see more that calm is a state that is natural. It is when we think of ourselves out of calm, is when we get trapped in those workings. And then we look for coping mechanisms which are healthy to help us calm back down. when my realization started to see that my thinking is just not who I am, no matter how detailed it is, or how sophisticated, or how positive or negative it is. I started to identify with what's in my mind less, and I started to find myself more calm. So, if there's anything to do, if there's one thing to do to calm myself, it is definitely not taking my thinking seriously.
Wow, that's quite the insight of how to calm your mind. Again, I'm really blown away of you explained that. Means a
Mm.
lot. As you mentioned about calming your mind and you talked about why you did what you did as a teenager, why do you share your story with others?
Amazing question. A lot of people, including family, or mostly family, they try to encourage me not to share it. They say, you know what, it's the past. You don't have to share that anymore. I don't share it because I'm proud of it. I share it because I want to help others. That's the sole reason. I share my experiences. I share some of the mistakes I've made and some of the things that are really hard to talk about, and definitely things I'm not proud of. But the only reason I share it is because it's really not about me. It's about helping other people by helping them see that the path I chose, they don't have to. And if they can avoid that, or if they can uh, get more insight into who they are, so that they don't have to choose a path like I did, they would they can live a more creative, more fulfilling, and have experiences that are much more richer with intimacy and connection with everyone around them sooner and for longer. So that's the reason I share my story.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your story there, why you shared with others. What is some advice you could give to the young people these days?
To the young, I would say it's very important to know yourself. I find that we live in a society right now that's moving towards that direction, but a lot of us are still stuck in what is this person doing and how can I copy that, right? What is this person doing and how can I be inspired by that? And there's nothing wrong with that because we can always use a template. But I find that the young people are so influenced nowadays by social media, Google, Facebook, all the music industry and such. It's very important for them to know themselves so they can start to have these natural values that are inside of them arise and lead the way for them. They're not as pressured or influenced by outside sources when they start to learn who they are. So, the number one piece of advice for young people: slow down, know yourself, and your life can be governed by your own values.
If someone wants to get hold of you, Shanad, what are some of the ways they could reach out to you?
Social media would be the best. My name, Shenan Charania, can be found on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Shanad, I want to say thank you for taking your time to be on the Coach Harp Show today.
Thank you very much for having me, Harp.
Everybody that's watching the Coach Harp Show, we're going to have some more great guests on the Coach Harp Show. Uh, to get to check out www.coachharp.ca.